It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Let's talk about some of the things you ought to look for in a credit card. If you have made it, you are in the financial mutant status, you can use this tool effectively. Let's talk about some of those benefits and perks. And we compiled what these were, like fraud protection. We've already told you. It's nice, especially when you're going on the internet, where you don't actually see the person, you're not looking them in the eyeballs that you're buying the goods or services from. It's nice knowing you're using the bank's money with really your only really liability or risk is $50. And by the way, having cards compromised, I've had it happen so much. Nobody ever actually enforces the $50. The credit card companies gladly reimburse. They take care of it. They do the research. And by the way, this is also even awesome when you get into, I had a friend who had a rental car where he returned the rental car, but it was after hours. And then, like, the rental car company for the next month was harassing him, saying, we never got that car.
No.
So they were just running up fees. You know how he finally solved it? Because he spent a few weeks actually trying to correspond with the rental car agency to fix the issue himself. Finally, just called the dispute services of the credit card company. They said, yeah, we'll take it from here.
And
he never heard another thing about it. And that's why it's kind of nice from the fraud protection or things that are just uncertain how it will end. You've got having a big bank in your corner is actually a very valuable resource.
The second benefit, and this is the one that I think people most often think about, is there are points and rewards systems with credit cards. Some credit cards will give you cash back, and some credit cards will give you miles, or some credit cards will give you shopping discounts. There are, depending on your consumption behavior, there are actually rewards or benefits or kickbacks you can receive depending on the cards that you use. That's another benefit to look for. Make sure you have one that matches your consumption style.
Extended warranties. I mean, look, I've used this probably 3 times where I had a Roku box go out on me one year, and I looked at it and it was exactly 13 months after I'd bought it. Well, it had a 1-year warranty. Fortunately, the credit card company bought me a new Roku box. It was kind of nice having that extended warranty. Price matching?
This is one, Brian, I got to say, man, I hate telling you, you teach me all these things. This is one that you taught me because I didn't know about this one until I actually saw you, and this is like years and years ago. I've seen you do this. I've seen you actually make this phone call saying, hey, I bought this thing, and then I noticed that it was a lot cheaper. Hey, what can you do for that? Say, okay, hey, we'll take care of it. We'll actually match that if you use our card to make your purchases.
And then another benefit as we kind of close this out is just insurance. I mean, it's kind of nice that, a lot of times you're getting protection, especially when you travel, that you don't even probably realize. I mean, if you lose luggage, they got you covered. If you rented a car, they got you covered. There's a lot of things that are going on there. If there's delays in your travel, they got you covered. You have some, not only do they protect you from fraud, they give you the bank negotiating for you if you have a dispute, but it's nice that they do give you some travel and insurance protections as well.
Another benefit you can look for is convenience. If you shop at certain places, it's not uncommon for cards to offer you free shipping or expedited shipping or other services like that might make the purchasing or buying experience a little more beneficial and more convenient for you. So you want to look for those kind of benefits, again, depending on your unique consumption behavior.
And then the last one we put on here is you should never use this, but it's just nice to know what your interest rate is on the card. Just because, look, I never, ever want you to have interest accumulate on your credit card. But that doesn't mean that you just stick your head in the sand and you let them have a 50% interest rate on you. Not that I think those exist. We did a little exercise in the office.
I was wondering if you were going to share it. Because here's what's so funny. In the chat right now, one of the things we do is we live stream these shows, and there's a live chat going on, and I'm kind of trying to stay a little plugged into that. And we're having a lot of people say, hey, sometimes emergencies happen. Sometimes a thing happens, and you have to have a credit card balance for some reason or the other. Well, that's the real reason you want to make sure you keep an eye on the interest rate. Because if you find yourself in that situation, it could play in. It could be beneficial. And so we had a little conversation.
I'll hold off on interest rates that we each pay, or we don't pay, or what's on the card, because we don't pay any interest.
Neither of us knew. I
didn't know. We had to go look on the statements.
We did not know. And so, by the way, if you want to know what the interest rate on your credit card is, it's actually on the bottom of your statement. I learned a new thing this week when we were having our little competition.
So we'll get to that, because in a minute we're going to disclose what's in our wallet, and I wanted to, but I'll tell you what we found in that research. But let's kind of transition. I want to talk about how do you use credit cards like a millionaire, because I think there's here's the little thing you guys need to understand. When you're getting information from content creators, one of the biggest ways to get paid for content creation is for credit card affiliate fees, meaning that you put a link on your website, every credit card that's opened, they make good money off of that. We don't do any of that stuff. So that's why I want to give you kind of hopefully a balanced approach to this, because we don't make money off of affiliate fees or anything like that. So I want to tell you how to use credit cards like a millionaire. And the first one is going to go against what you see from a lot of bloggers, is that you need to recognize that time is money.
Yeah, I get people ask me questions about this all the time. They get lost in it. They'll say, hey, I want to maximize.
Yeah, well, financial mutants in general, I always tell you, I want my financial mutants to make your money go 3 to 5% further than the average person. But there is that you can go too far with this and turn it into this wild goose chase or an epic journey to nowhere, because you'll be chasing points, opening up credit cards so you can go get free vacations. There's a whole industry focused on blogs and other things on how to maximize these things. But I always ask myself, man, are they getting busy doing nothing? Because their time has to be worth something.
Yeah, so Daniel told us there's a guy, he's known as the points guy, and apparently he has created what was described as a thriving business.
Well, good for him. I mean, but he's a
with 100 employees.
That's good for him.
With 100 employees.
But that's not how he's making his money through the credit cards. He's making his money by people coming to his points thing to see how to do this, and then he's employing people. So don't get confused by that. You don't make a lot of money by having 100 credit cards.
That's right.
You just don't. Yes, you'll get some great perks, but you have to keep up with it. There's a lot of exposure. I just don't like getting busy doing nothing, and I think people turn this hobby into something that really distracts them from making overall great financial decisions.
One of the questions we asked is as we were having sort of our pre-show, our content prep, we asked the question, well, how many is too much? Yeah. And the question that you have to answer, well, how many is too many credit cards, is, well, who has the most credit cards? And I don't know why this was a super interesting thing, but there's actually a guy in Santa Clara, California, that has 1,497 credit cards, and his available limit is $1.7 million. Now, I think the story here is he was wanting to set a Guinness World Record. I don't know that having that many credit cards with that large of a limit actually adds a whole lot of value to his overall financial life. I don't know that this is something that I would want in my tool belt, because when I look at all those credit cards, you know what I see? Tons of opportunities for hassles and headaches and fraud alerts. And hey, have you ever had a credit card that you, for some reason there was a bill that came in that it just slipped through the cracks, and then you caught it a month or two later? Imagine if you had 1,500 credit cards with that going on. So you want to make sure you keep this in line with what's actually actionable inside of your financial life.
This gives me anxiety, because what happens if any of these cards decide they want to start charging an annual $29 fee? Is he going to be able to keep up with the 1,497 cards to know what the terms are if somebody stole access to it? That looks like a whole lot of work, not creating a lot of wealth from that. So gives him notoriety. Good for him. I guess that's his hobby. But that's not something, like I said, don't get busy doing nothing. And that's the same reason I used to play the category. Some of my cards, like Discover, is bad about this. They have rotating categories. Drives me crazy. I want to know when I'm using my card, I want to know what it does well and not have to worry about rotating categories, because that's just confusion. Why does it have to have confusion? I just want to know what works best.
I myself, I don't know if this is an actual term. I like to consider myself a passive credit card user, meaning I don't really want to think about, okay, what time of the month is it? Okay, I'm at the grocery store. Okay, which one of the, when I go to groceries, it's this one. When I go to do travel, it's this one. I like keeping it very, very simple, because if I'm having to expend energy, you just said this already, time is money. If I'm having to spend more time thinking about those things, it's probably not allowing me to focus on building my army of dollar bills over the long term.
And more than likely, if you're other member of your house, your spouse, might not be a financial mutant like you. And if you want to encourage good use, keep it as simple as possible, because rotating categories is just a complexity that I don't like. I want to talk about how you maximize rewards. Here's a behavioral thing. We've told you that from the research, credit cards have a downside, is that people spend 18 to 20% more using credit cards than they would if they were using cold, hard cash. But here's a credit card hack. Do stuff you have to pay anyway. I just paid my homeowner's insurance with a credit card.
I literally just did the same thing.
So I did this just last night. Matter of fact, so I did my even though, by the way, I have escrow. So I don't know how this is all. I mean, I'm sure I'm just going to get a big, huge escrow.
Mine was umbrella.
No, but I try to pay my property and casualty insurance with my credit card. I try to pay all my utilities with credit cards because it's not like I'm over there when I'm cutting up the heating or air conditioning. I'm going, because I use a credit card, it's 18% more. No, these are things that they're fixed in what you're spending. So I try to get as many of those things running through my credit cards to maximize rewards as possible.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. I get really excited.
You rang the bell. You got excited. So let's talk about, because now I want to focus on the actual use. So a lot of you guys, once again, take inventory of yourself. Are you the type of person that's a single card user, or are you that financial mutant that feels like you need to get a little bit more so you're a multiple card user? I want to talk about that a little bit. So if you're a single card approach, we want you to find a card that does everything well.
You just want a nice, middle-of-the-road, robust credit card that you don't have to do a lot of thinking about. It just has a decent benefit. Whatever your appetite for benefits is. If you're a big traveler, maybe it's a card that gives you miles. If you're a big cash back person, maybe it's one that pays a stated, 2% back
on everything.
No matter what you're doing. It pays on everything. You just want a good one. Now, this is interesting. Earlier on in life, many, many, many years ago when I was a young man, I had some friends who would say, hey, Bo, I want to get that credit card you told me about, and I went to apply, and I couldn't get it. It is one of those things, your ability to get good or better cards will grow as your financial maturity moves along, as your credit improves and as you have a track record. If you're out there and you're an 18 or 19-year-old and you're getting your very first credit card, you might not be able to get the absolute best credit card available to you, but that's okay. Just know that in time, you're going to be working towards that.
Let's talk about a multiple card approach.
Sure.
I like still that same single card that you had that was just a great generalist. Typically, like for me, that would be like a cash back card that gives you 2% on everything. I still think that is something that will be used in a multiple card strategy because that's just your default if you don't have a specialized category, because you'll use the specialized cards for, like, some cards will give you 3 to 5% back on eating out, or when you travel, or on groceries, or gas. It's nice that when you're getting 4 to 5% back on all gas purchases.
Absolutely.
There are cards that specialize in those things. I think that you could look at it as a generalist with if you don't know, just use the general card, but then you can add specialized cards for certain things that you're going to be spending money on.
And those specialized cards can be like general, right, like gas, or they can be specific specialized cards. Now, I'm not a huge proponent of store credit cards. However, if there are places that you shop a lot or services that you use a lot, and there's a valuable benefit to having their specific card, I don't think that's crazy. If it's money you're going to be spending there anyways because you have a habit or a history of doing that, I don't think that store credit cards, a single one or a few, depending on your consumption behavior, is the craziest thing in the world.
Well, especially because a lot of these cards are now at 5%. And as you said, if you're already spending the money, you might as well take advantage of it.